People are always most alive just before they die, don't you think? I'm John Renton with the retro review of Final Destination 2, which is a sequel to, actually, I'm just going to let you guess, by the Jeopardy theme. Final Destination. It's a sequel to Final Destination. It really isn't that fucking shocking. If your mind is blown, you need to get out more. It's not a sequel to Final Destination 3. That wouldn't make any mathematical sense. And if they did a series like that and worked backwards, the world would implode. Can't really do an implosion thing. It could do something like that, like a brain slug in Futurama. And it's not even a sequel to The Final Destination, which wasn't even The Final Destination. Because a couple of years later, we got Final Destination 5, if man, woman, animal, vegetable, mineral, space alien, or planetary solar system is still alive. And we're getting Final Destination 6 in a little bit, because death never takes a holiday, unlike what that movie told us. It lied to us. That movie fucking lied to us. This suffers from a little bit of Ghost Ship syndrome, in the sense that Ghost Ship had that iconic opening, and then it just couldn't match it. In fact, it fell over the goddamn side of the cruise ship, and ended up in the goddamn ocean, falling to the ocean floor, being crushed by the very weight of the world. This movie, while much better than Ghost Ship, can't match the great Freeway opening sequence. It is one of the best openings to a horror movie in at least the last 20 years. You can fucking fight me on that. I would put it in my top 10 as far as, favorite horror movie opening sequences. And then, unfortunately, unlike the first Final Destination movie that I did just recently retro review, and yes, for longtime subscribers / viewers of the channel, I did take all 5 movies, Human Centipede, them together into one compilation video for you guys a couple years ago, but I wanted to flesh these things out, and considering it's all about death, that's a bit ironic. This movie has some good deaths, but this is where instead of the first one being about characters that were, the thrill of death was all around us, they were caught in death's design, there was a little bit of depth. These are just a bunch of strangers, not even beautiful strangers. Madonna also lied to us about that. Didn't think you'd get a Madonna reference in this, did you? Back when she actually made music that was somewhat decent. Anyway, nevertheless, a bunch of strangers survive a freeway accident that Kimberly, played by A.J. Cook from Criminal Minds, she had a long-running character there. She sees this and she ends up saving people, but then they're trapped in death's design and they start to fall victim to a series of unfortunate events, much like Emily Browning did after she was in Ghost Ship and then was in Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events, and then also in Uninvited, or The Uninvited. I forget exactly which one it was, and I just know it was goddamn shit. And she was in Sucker Punch. Has she been anything good since then? I don't know. So this was directed by David R. Ellis. Rest in peace, David R. Ellis. He died a number of years ago. He did Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco, Cellular, that absolute ass movie with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson, Snakes on a Plane, The Final Destination, that was the low point of the series, and Shark Night. So I think Final Destination 2 might have been the best of what he did. This was written by 3 different people. J. Mackay Gruber, he's Hans Gruber's second cousin, twice removed from marriage, who did Butterfly Effect and The Courier, and then also Eric Bress, who did Ghosts of War and Butterfly Effect. Butterfly Effect wasn't very good. They somehow got 3 movies out of that. And Jeffrey Reddick, who did Tomorrow and Dead Awake. So this also has 1 returning cast member, Claire Rivers, played by Ali Larter. My goodness, she still looks great. I mean, I'm talking now. She looked great then. She looks great now. And then there's Michael Landis. And as far as star power or memorable people, besides Tony Todd, yes, there's a few people that went on to have decent careers, but the first one had at least enough people in it where, okay, they went on to have some pretty good careers. Everybody else, it's none of their stuff was really all that memorable. Nothing is coming to mind. So yeah, Kimberly sees this vision, and it's a really, really great sequence. A logging truck, I can't get behind a logging truck to this day. A log comes loose, goes through a cop's car. Guy gets pinned down by his motorcycle and severed basically against a log. A guy in a sports car ends up dying. Somebody is playing with water balls. A water ball gets stuck under the brake pedal and they can't stop soon enough. A pregnant lady's there and swerves out of the way. Maybe she dies, maybe she doesn't, but explosions and loud noises. Kimberly notices this is a vision, sees all this shit, seeing a bus go by saying, pile up, and highway to hell and all these visions and all this stuff. And then she blocks the entrance, and the cop stops her, is basically talking to her, and they're like, hey, can we go? And then this accident happens. But oh no, she can't save her friends because she's pulled out way too far to where this vehicle has to swerve, into the goddamn way, or out of the way to nail this vehicle, and her friends die. Oh no. And then Kimberly and all these strangers are haunted by all this stuff, and they start dying. So yeah, this movie also loosely tries to tie back to the events from Flight 180 in the first movie in a very, very bad way. It opens with a interview panel discussion, so to speak. Well, not really a panel, but it's one guy talking about, oh, the thrill of death is all around you. Maybe it's your day to die. You got to watch out for the warning signs and all this. And the reason Devon Sawa's character doesn't make a return is because he got killed by a falling brick. They couldn't even bother to have him show up in this movie. I mean, maybe they couldn't come to an agreement. Maybe the director didn't want to do it. I don't really know, but I think that was kind of a missed opportunity because it could have been like Halloween 2. And ironic, this movie actually has another thing that happens like Halloween 2. An explosion in a hospital. This movie's kind of bad. In fact, it's really kind of bad. I do kind of find it funny that there's at one point where she's driving on the freeway, or she sees this thing just before she starts driving on the freeway. It says, you know, slow traffic next 180 feet, like Flight 180. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? So everybody is, you know, being interviewed by the police, every survivor. Kimberly's upset, other people are upset, but she's having these visions. She can't stop having these visions. And then there's one guy, one of the guys that, or the guy that was in the sports car, or one of the sports cars, because there were actually two sports cars there. He had won the lottery, 250 grand, and he's in his dilapidated apartment. He, there's little Easter egg stuff, like little magnets, little letter magnets that, you know, kids can play with. And it says I on the refrigerator, like spelled like an I. And he doesn't notice that more of these magnets are in his Chinese takeout. He throws that in there. People are calling him because he won the lottery, 250 grand. And judging by what he bought, he's going to burn through that shit really goddamn quick. Use it to pay off your bills first, you jackass. But nevertheless, he ends up, a fire bursts out in his apartment. He ends up slipping on something because he tossed some spaghetti out earlier. He's like, yeah, that spaghetti's gross. I'll toss that out. That won't come back to bite me in the ass. He goes down the ladder to avoid the explosion, slips on the spaghetti, and the ladder almost hits him. Oh, shit, that's close. I should move. Oh, boom. And then more people start dying in really humorous ways. The problem with this movie is it doesn't have characters mixed with death sequences. It has death sequences that happen to have characters that die during them. And that's also what the third one suffers from. Even though the third one has some of the most hilarious deaths, including my favorite of the goddamn thing, the tanning bed. I can't wait to revisit Final Destination 3. This is just really... This gets kind of bad because despite the fact it's 90 minutes and it's only... God, let's see. I'm just trying to take a look here. It's only 8 minutes shorter than the first one. It feels very, very rushed. It feels very rushed. Like, that opening sequence was great. They even elongated it because they realized that's all they fucking had. At early 2000s, laptop technology was hilarious. Kimberly sees Claire in an institution, but Claire can leave at any time, but since she's voluntary, or voluntary, that is, and she explains, well, hey, Death's Design's coming after. I didn't win. Look where I'm at. But then she says, well, wait a second. I reversed this stuff, and so now Death is working backwards, or maybe we have something that happened, and I cheated Death's Design, and now this is happening, but my friends died first, even though they died last in the vision, and wait, what's going on? The movie doesn't know. I'm guessing lazy screenwriting was the reason as to why this stuff just got really convoluted, when you just need to make the movie about Death coming after people, and get a few characters, and just have a few bit parts. But no, the movie couldn't even get that right. Claire checks herself out eventually. The cop, it turns out this cop was part of the cleanup crew on Flight 180. There's a dental exam, that involves pigeons hitting windows. A kid nearly chokes on something, or a teenager, and his pigeon ends up bursting through the window. It must have had a goddamn football helmet on. And then the kid gets saved, but then, because Kimberly keeps seeing visions like pigeons and other shit and whatever, he scares the pigeons, and this guy was trying to move more glass. Seemingly, they just had glass on standby to replace when the pigeon broke it at the dental office. He scares the pigeons. The pigeons end up spooking this one guy. He hits the switch, and the pane of glass just falls down right on him. It's fucking hilarious. And then if it's a Bloodworth, he says only new life can cheat death. So a life that wasn't supposed to actually exist can cheat death's design, because we're just reinventing shit and inventing new shit to just string this damn thing along. And then Kimberly has a vision of drowning. What does this mean? They need to find the pregnant lady, because there was the pregnant woman that ended up eluding the whole goddamn thing is the key. But if she eluded it, then how would they know that? Because we never actually saw her die until we got more recaps. And then they're at the... Oh, God damn it. They're at the cops' apartment. They're trying to come up with ways to death-proof everything. So they're just going to sit at the apartment, but everybody leaves, including this black guy, Eugene, who was the guy that got severed by his motorcycle. And then the mother, who had already lost her husband a few years before and lost her son outside the dental office, is all distraught. And then there's this creepy guy with a bunch of doll mannequin parts, and there's hooks on the hands. He ends up getting her hair captured in it, and then she gets her head severed in an elevator shaft, which is just funny. Good news for egg lovers. Stand-up comedians that actually know what I'm talking about will just lose their goddamn mind. And then... Oh, God damn it. So, Eugene says, I'm not going to let death control me, and tries to shoot himself in front of a cop. Well, I guess he was just taking... Never mind. I don't need to even make the comment there, because you can just make it in your head. And Isabella was put in protective custody. By the way, Eugene couldn't shoot himself because it wasn't his time. She's in protective custody, but goddamn, she's going to have the baby. So this one guy, panicking in a very comedic way, this one cop takes her there. And... They're in the goddamn van, the remaining survivors, and they're talking about, oh, geez, this connected me to the people in Flight 180. This connected me. Oh, I was on a bus that hit this girl, and all this, and plot conveniences, and lazy screenwriting, and other words and phrases. So then they end up getting run off the road, because apparently nobody knows how to stay in their lane. Stay in your lane, dog. I think that's what the kids still say. Isabella and the other cop go off to the hospital, apparently the only hospital within a 50-mile radius of anywhere, and everybody else wrecks, where one woman ends up, there's one of those metal, those metal pipings that got broken off, and then also she's got a log trapping her leg, because this log is big, it's heavy, it's wood. And then what ends up happening is police are there rather quickly. Well, police, fire and rescue and stuff like that. They're going to use the jaws of life. And then they put it on there, and then they burst her, they burst the airbag and they put her head right through the goddamn pole. So she's dead. Also, this news van that was in a Plymouth Valiant van that was from literally, I think, 1975. I think it was actually more like the late 80s, early 90s, but nevertheless, backs over this one goddamn, this rock area, and bursts its gas tank. So even if they got the story, they would never be able to get back to the news people in time, because why not? And the girl who got her head, impaled, drops her cigarette, because she's dead, and that lights a fuel, that lights, the fuel that's in this piping in the ground, as opposed to piping in the air, because piping in the air is fun as long as you're in the Mile High Club. Moving on. Then there's one guy who had just saved somebody from that van accident, before that van impaled its own gas tank. He gets cut apart, because smoking can cause offense to basically just say, I'm going to wrap around you. All this is happening within the last 30 goddamn minutes. Eugene's in the hospital with a prolapsed lung, and we get more dramatic music and other things, and everybody's there. Everybody's conveniently at the same hospital. The kid's born and everything's all right. No, it's not, because she wasn't supposed to be part of the accident. Oh, no. Then Kimberly figures out, I gotta kill myself and be resurrected to interrupt death's design. She figures out all this within 30 fucking seconds. And then Claire dies in an explosion because of faulty hospital equipment, because we need a death straight out of Final Destination. Or not even Final Destination 1, but out of Halloween 2. Nevertheless, another sequel that went off the goddamn rails. So Kimberly goes in the water in a van. The cop saves her. She's fine, resurrected. And then everybody's having a BBQ at that farm that they were just at. But then the boy that was saved says, hey, tell him about when that guy saved me. Oh, yeah, your friend saved him. And then they go, oh, shit. And then an explosion. and his arm ends up on the goddamn barbecue. Well, you gonna eat that? Don't let that good arm meat go to waste, because bicep, tricep, doesn't fucking matter. It's all good eating. It ends in comedic fashion. Unfortunately, the movies don't get much better, even though the third one has some great death sequences. Can't wait to dive into that shit. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm Charmethlan. I'll see you soon.